The 11th edition of the FIFA Club World Cup is currently going on in Morocco. Of course, Morocco, as you know, pulled out of hosting the Nations Cup, which comes up in January. And of course, champions of the UEFA Champions League, Real Madrid, will be in Morocco after playing against Almeria last night. Earlier in the week in the UEFA Champions League, Premiership teams Chelsea, Arsenal, and Manchester City are through to the knockout stage of the biggest football club competition, of course leaving out Liverpool, who have decided to walk alone after failing to pick a ticket for the last 16 of the UEFA Champions League. Welcome to hotsports. It promises to be an exciting package of the program this afternoon.
Guinness fuels our passions, but which will best fuel the rise of Niger? Get behind your passion on the Malta Guinness TV show. Game on!
Of course, on the main issue today, we shift focus to the Nigerian Premier League, where we can tap the raw materials that we need to boost the senior national team, the Super Eagles.
Sometimes life can be very boring. But in the MTN season of surprises, you get a special smartphone plan that gives you a whopping 4.5 gigabytes at only 2,500 naira, so you can browse more, chat more, tweet more, and upload those unforgettable moments of the season. Text 120 to 131 now to activate your smartphone bundle, or dial *123# for more options.
MTN, everywhere you go.
On our main focus this week, producer Ufomo Osusu chats with the chairman of the league management company, Honorable Nduka Irabo, on some major issues in the just concluded Nigerian Professional League and the way forward for domestic football as we await the kickoff of the new season.
What are the next steps now that the league management company governance structure has been ratified by the Nigerian Football Federation? What does it portend for league administration in Nigeria?
Stability. We designed the league management company in such a way that we won't suffer from the hiccups that Football League had in the past suffered in this country. We have a more stable, predictable transition or appointment or selection process. Today, or before now, several managers of the league had often been thrown up just because of sometimes personal differences, sometimes rivalries on the field spilling over back to the boardroom, and there were several incessant changes of the managers. Hopefully now we won't have that. There's going to be a big search to find who the chairman of the league would be. Along with the chairman will be two independent other persons. And because it's inclusive and actually it's meant to be executing the business of the club owners too will be involved with the governance. So they too will also have 3 members on the board. So you have a 7-man board, a chief executive officer who will be selected based on established reputation or performance. Then there will be the chairman who is going to be an independent. There will be a deputy chairman or a second person who also will be independent. Then there will be the clubs. Rather than subjecting them to annual elections, which does not augur for stability, or 4-year election, there will be a selection process. They will have 2 terms renewed, 1 term renewed for a 2nd term. After that, if the board so desires that they stay, they will do 2 terms. After that, the board going out and members selected by the clubs themselves will sit down and search from within the society of independent-minded people. They do not have to be football lovers. They just have to be fair-minded, business-inclined, and trustworthy to become the chairman of the club. So this way we're taking away from the clubs appointing from within themselves. which we found out previously was always part of the problems that they had. So we've gone away from that era.
With this new management structure, it appears the LMC will now have the liberty to add some more fresh breath to the league.
Certainly that liberty we had begun to enjoy, but because of this uncertainty created by opposition to it, it had limited our ability to perform. Right now, yes, we can go to anybody's door and knock on it very boldly and ask to do business or forge some kind of affiliation or partnership without the fear that we might not be there tomorrow. I mean, whosoever is appointed on the board. This is very necessary. You want to build a long-term relationship. The man you are engaging should see that you will be there to protect terms of agreement. It's only until you have a stable board that people can come out and deal with you and evolve agreeable partnership terms. But if you are not there tomorrow, the man is wondering, why did I spend all my time talking to him? A new person will suffer that hiccup, that change that you've caused by your departure because of one disagreement among board members and all that. So hopefully we've gone past that, and that essentially is the highlight of this.
Some believe there will be a kind of election of officers into the league management company.
No, we'll be doing selection, and this is not strange. We love, or we tend to talk and act like we understand the English Premier League. We'll take time after this program, go and check what the English Premier League is about. You have two men on the board, a chairman and a chief executive officer. Well, we needed to adapt this to our own local conditions, so we have 7. But even that chairman is selected, no election. And why do they do that? They want an impartial person. The business of football requires some impartiality. That's why you have a referee. You might be a great football manager, but you might not be a business manager. So you go out and recruit, seek assistance, seek people that have credibility, because I'm meeting other publics, other corporates who want to engage you in some partnership. That person talking should be somebody trusted, right? You don't bring out somebody and say it's an ex-international or he's been appointed by the governor, so he's the chairman of the club. Then he should come and represent the fortune of several other clubs, or ask him to make a decision in which he too has an interest. So that impartiality, can only be guaranteed if you have independence. But again, we're not just having those independence. So that you know what is happening, you are going to have to contribute to the constitution of that board of governors, or if you like, board of directors. The clause will bring 3, then there'll be 3 independents and the chief executive officer.
We saw a number of innovations such as Wonder Goal Award for players, Financial Merit Award for clubs. How have these impacted on performance in the just concluded season, and what future plans are in store for the Nigerian Professional League?
I'm happy you call them innovations. This is what we do at the LMC. Keep trying to figure out how to solve what we perceive will make the league better, or what we perceive is a problem in the league. And the performance award is in the 2nd season right now. And in this particular season, I'm happy that people can see the impact. We're scoring more goals. Players are more dedicated. They are better highlighted individual performances. This season, we had somebody scoring 6 goals in one match. That seldom happens. That's a hat trick 2 times over. You can attribute that to people knowing that they'll be rewarded for what they do. What were we paying for wonder goal scorers? We put them into some kind of competition and select from amongst several recorded goals that we have, about 100,000 naira. I believe, and a few have said so too, that it has impacted on their quest or zest to want to be among goal scorers. So yes, it's been good. But this season, we're going to do more enduring things. There are other problems. We still have problems of trying to bring people to the stadium or trying to get people to connect to the game. This is a game of people playing, people watching. The more there are people watching, the more those playing want to be at their best. I am actually not too happy to say I am not impressed with the figures we're turning out right now, but what can we do? The club managers themselves have to work on that. We are going to introduce incentives for them. Some of the monies we bring into the pool to share amongst them. Some will be determined by the ability to bring people into the stadium. Right now, we're doing an average of about 2,500, 3,000, about 3,000. We can do a lot better. So we're going to create some threshold. If you can do more than that, you get rewarded. Don't expect that everybody will share the same amount of money. Your ability to bring people into the stadium will determine how much money you get. Just as your ability to acquire points decides how much money you get. In our merit or performance bonuses or awards that we give the clubs, you will notice that the first club this season is getting 50 million naira, some 50% increase from the previous year. The bottom club, at the basement, is getting just 1.5. It's enough incentive to get better performance, more competition. More competition keeps the league more exciting. So we're hoping that we would find such other incentives to throw in. The better the league finances get, the more it is thrown back into developing the league.
The league management company came up with minimum wage for players and also put in place measures to ensure they got paid. But we still have had situations where players complained of unpaid salaries. Any plans to get this resolved going forward?
Well, there would always be differences between employers and employees, between the club owners and their employees. There will always be, but we have worked out, anticipated this and worked out how to address them. Unfortunately, the actors are not taking advantage of it. The players sit back and suffer in silence. They make noise in public only when it's become late, and they do not follow the procedure. What we're looking at right now is to say, why is this going on? Are they too engaged with the game that they forget their welfare? As a matter of fact, the welfare is most paramount in our mind. That's why we devoted so much time designing a way to address this. Now, what we have here is that there has to be a process. The players must formally complain to the employers that we have outstanding monies to be paid, and they will notify the LMC. The LMC will step in only after a period of time. I think we have some 45-day period or so, and cause enforcement. But how then do you enforce this? Otherwise, it will just be a seesaw of letters and intervention without meaning. Hence, we introduce the financial performance guarantee, that you have to have the means to sustain your obligation. We quantified what we thought were the must-do financial items amongst the clubs. How much will the club spend in a season? Typically, they will spend anywhere between 160 million to 300 million. The very rich ones spend far above that. But, we assume that if the players earn a minimum of 150 million and you have 25 to 35 players in your squad, and then you have your coaches and all of that, this is the kind of obligation. So we said 100 million the last season. A few clubs, Kano Pillars in particular, brought their performance guarantee. Now what happens is that if there's a performance guarantee, which is ask the man you deal with, your banker, to say, confirm to me that he has money. Before we came up, it used to be a letter from your proprietor. A letter simply means nothing, it adds up to nothing. But if your banker says to me, Mr. Enyimba is capable of meeting all his obligations, that will be fine, we'll hold on to it. And the players complain to us that it's 40 days or 45 days now, we haven't been paid. We go back to the bank to say, we are drawing on this guarantee. The man you gave us a guarantee on has not been able to meet his financial obligations. Unfortunately, it took quite some time for the actors, the managers themselves, to understand what this was about. I also say the media. It's as if we were asking them to climb some impossible hurdles. That wasn't it. It's to stop this frequent not being able to oblige. Look at the embarrassment we faced the other day. FIFA asking that one of our oldest clubs be sanctioned unless they pay immediately or meet their obligation to a Ghanaian player immediately. There are so many such cases here. The only way to deal with it, and we understood our environment, the only way to deal with it is to be sure that you have money before you got it. Partially it would appear people around us understood what we're trying to do, but they didn't fully get it. But I'm so happy the way this season went. Not happy that players were being owed or players were out protesting, but I'm happy that the point has been underlined. That you can't get into this business without showing that you have the money. Even the richest state governments were defaulting, because the truth really is that football is not a priority to them. And then you don't just use poor, hapless footballers. They play the game, they popularize your state or the name of whatever you've chosen to give in to them. They give you a good feeling, being a proprietor of a club, yet you will meet the obligations to them. Before the beginning of the new season, we are going to insist again, and hopefully this point will be very clear to everybody that, yes, that's the formula. That is the solution. Give me a performance guarantee. You can come in, So we are going to be stricter this time. That performance guarantee is what we need. So when there are complaints, which always happens when business is not going well, but hey, there's a certain minimum threshold that you must meet.
Club ownership structure in the country is basically in the hands of states, and the LMC is known to have canvassed for community club ownership. Can you throw more light on how this can work and the benefits?
I like that. We have to look back. How did football clubs get off in this country? Not too long ago, most clubs were owned by towns. A few gentlemen in towns get together. They want the Port Harcourt Red Devils, NTA, Workers' Union, set up together. Over time, the military in particular, wanting to find a way to become popular amongst the people that forced themselves on, chose to make it a government business, to begin to finance clubs. That was when fans began to pull back. At some point, deep pockets, the late Adebayo, late Abiola, Ikbazu, all over the country, Abdul Salam, I hope I got that name right, started coming up. But you would see that even deep pockets would have their own demise at some point. Once they go down, once they cease to exist, their clubs cease to exist. They don't endure. Now, what is the story behind those clubs that are clocking 103 years, 100 and so years history? Accra House of Folk, next door, just celebrated 103 years. What is the story behind that? The community. That indeed is how most of the big clubs will revere and follow. The Uniteds, the Chelseas and co. That's how they started. The big time owners, Abramovich and co, are only just later day additions. Clubs have always belonged to the community. What it does for you, it projects your image as belonging to a group of persons. We have to find a way to go back to that place. So we are saying, first of all, 50% of all the government-owned clubs are available for the public to buy in. We can't enforce it if we don't have takers. But we need to have takers. And hey, I'm not looking for somebody who has so much money. I'm looking for everybody to get involved. Small change for a big dream. Bring your 2,000 a month. If I got 20,000 people coming up with 2,500 a month for 10 months of the year, that's 500 million. It will run the club from our studies and still leave you with 200 million to invest in something else. That 200 million you can put in a commercial yielding enterprise, which will be translated back to the activities of that club. That is how you get an enduring club. But big spender, football-loving governor, tomorrow somebody else is elected, he's not a football-loving governor, then the club begins to falter. Or the governor decides that I have other priorities and he will not release the money. Or the permanent secretary simply doesn't understand why he's paying somebody 500,000. Somebody that left school just yesterday. But for the community, putting their resources together, they will come to the stadium, they will make the game look more attractive, then advertisers will find something they can ride on. You want to ride on the passion, the affinity of the people to project your goods. You make all your oranges, all your juices here. We buy them here, you take £2 million and go and give Man United. And this is when you need to sustain the club. But they will be sooner or later arguing with you that, hey, I can't see people following these games. So we are saying, community, come on, you have an opportunity to get back. And once you begin to establish this passion and people begin to see you are following your game again, then they will bring in money. Then the clubs can make money. So we need governments for infrastructure. Make the stadiums clean. Make it possible for us to have access to that stadium. Make it clean. Build better stadium. Give us land to build clubhouses, training grounds. That's what you need government for. And then help us mobilize people. People can get around. This is the way it's going. People talk about German Bundesliga, how popular it is, how people fill up the stadium. The secret is that it's actually owned by the community in most cases. Even England, the EPL, they are beginning to look towards Germany to see what the secret is, and that's what it is. There is a history, although it's American football. The only club owned by community in America are the Green Bay Packers. They've never had an empty seat in any of the games because it's yours. People tend to treat that which is theirs more seriously. Today, it is government, it's not us. I mean, that's the attitude. So people don't come. Painfully, I went to one lower league game the other day, and we had just 67 people. That included the players, the referees, the band boys, and us, the so-called VIPs. 67 in Nigeria. Look at the Federation Cup the other day. What did you have? In spite of all the campaign, the drumming up in the media, what did you have? Federation Cup, Challenge Cup or FA Cup. In some climes, it is the biggest competition. It used to be the biggest competition here. But the way the people were disengaging, we have to stop it. And the one way that I know of to stop it right now is to get the people involved. And I'm asking the state governments who already have these clubs to help get people involved. However, if they do not do that and they find a group of people who meet the conditions, who are able to prove they are organized and can come in, it's in the rules. There's people are given first options. The clubs that are in there have the first option. Those who are relegated also have the first option. Right? So if they don't take it up and they don't meet the conditions, we'll go to the lower league. If they too can't do it, they will get outsiders. So I'm just waiting for people to come and take it up. That is what we need to change our game. Don't forget that the league is the bastion of whatever success you can make of your football. The local league. We need to rethink how we are doing things. And that's what LMC has been intensely pursuing these last few days.
Some have advocated for the conformity of the league season calendar with other world leagues. What do you think about this?
I think I've had stuff like that, that we need to synchronize with Europe. Is that what you're saying? Listen, it's not a relevant argument. Very trite. The important thing is to be able to at least get the league going and play successfully. Whether we start in January or we start in July, it doesn't really matter. What's important about synchronizing with Europe? Europe is a different market. Yes, it is true that our boys' departure for trials tends to be disruptive, but it's not the whole team departing. You need to have a deep, rich team. When there's Nations Cup, don't African players come back home? Doesn't the league continue? The league continues. If you are good enough, people will spot you. There are several windows. What you probably need to synchronize is the transfer windows. But a league can run. We don't have a universal calendar year round. MLS plays a different calendar. Africa in particular has a different calendar. African calendar is from January to November. Nations Cup is usually January, February. After that, you play your league. Then by November, you must submit who your champion is. I don't need to sync this with Europe. However, we are reducing the time, so we'll have time to do things in between. There are many mini leagues you can create from a league, But, these first few years, the time is coming down. You need to give people some time to rest. I think ideally, it's been medically established that players should have at least 8 weeks break. Then you need to review the past season with the players. There's some kind of reorientation of coaches, managers, players themselves. Some of it has started. Yesterday, AFCON met. I'm happy to say we supported their meeting. They need to understand. Tonight, some people will be traveling to understand player transfer easily. Some of them are club managers. You need a break for them to assimilate new knowledge, and we'll bring in people to talk with them too. So all of this time will determine when we'll start. Of course, the licensing process tends to be a clumsy, tasking process at this initial stage. We are going to do licensing again. We're not going to rush into anything without clubs being licensed. There are certain obligations that clubs need to meet for us to be sure that they are really qualified to be in the league.
Well, with that focus on the Nigerian Premier League, we hope we'll be able to take some practical lessons from Nigeria's inability to qualify for the Nations Cup in January, and of course move ahead by getting the right players, even from the Nigerian Premier League, here at home, so that we can have a well-fortified team for future assignments. That's how far we can go on Hotsports this weekend. We'll be back again next weekend.